for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks for joining us under the hood.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150. What's caught your attention in the automotive world? He says having something to talk about.
That's you what a setup for yourself.
General Motors was hit with a $102.6 million verdict on Tuesday of this week after a federal jury ruled it allegedly sold engines with faulty piston rings to customers, leading to excessive oil consumption and premature wear. They said that Wednesday, GM knowingly sold vehicles with defective piston rings and did not do enough to remedy the issue, despite learning of the problem early on. And then in 2010, they had the dealerships clean the pistons and say that would do it, even though they knew it wouldn't, and on and on and on. It was the engine was sold up to the 2014 model year. Now, this is something that you guys,
Tell me more. So
Yeah.
they were hit with a $102 million fine?
the verdict in a class action lawsuit.
Yeah,
That's not going to pay for crap.
I read that article last night, and it really has some question marks for me.
Okay.
They had 30-some thousand people in the class,
Yeah.
and they said that each person would receive $2,700. If that's what they agreed to, GM... Okay, I want to be careful how I say this. GM got off cheap if they're able to keep that as the only suit they get out of this deal of how big a class could have been, I think is where Russ is thinking.
Exactly. Because I can tell you our number one selling engine right now, if there was enough of them out there, would be this Equinox engine, and it also fits some other vehicles.
No, this is a 5.3.
This isn't the 2.4 Equinox?
No.
This
is the
This is the LS 5.3.
Generation
Well, then
4
guess what?
Vortec 5300 LC9 5.3 liter V8.
Okay. Then that one there, those numbers are probably way lower than I would expect. And I was just about to fall out of my chair when you said I would have expected like the number to be closer to the billion range if it was the Equinox, because those totally eclipse.
I'm going to back us up again, Russ, too, because I don't want to take us over a cliff because we can hear things and because we see it every day.
Right.
What Russ is saying, they are putting in 5.3 motors all the time. They're putting in 2.4 motors. We're also putting in 5.7 Hemis and 5.4 Fords, and and the one we don't put in on as many is probably 5.7 Tundras, just to say it out loud. But there's not as many of them around here either. But those engines have proven over time to not play well with, and nobody wants to hear it because they don't want it to be them, poor maintenance.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they're also suffering from the representation. I think this, to me, would be a bigger issue, is at some point, every manufacturer, the representation of maintenance of what is to be expected and what actually makes the vehicle last to a long, long time. And like we've said on the show before, there's oftentimes an expectation being put out by the manufacturer that this is a 5,000-mile oil change or 7,000, or the light algorithm takes them to 7,500 miles, and we've seen that it's pretty good practice to get that thing in between 3,000 and 5,000 miles.
So there are there are sometimes differences between what the marketing department wants to say and what the engineering department knows to be true.
And just to finish the thought, I mean, we've said this before, and you nailed it, Chris, but we've said this before too, is that we live in a different day and age. Back in the day, you carried oil in your vehicle because it probably burned oil. It was pretty normal. The expectation that this vehicle you buy is supposed to be perfect and live perfect forever, I think, is a tough expectation that is getting put on the manufacturers. because there are things that if you don't use them right are going to wear and they're going to burn oil. They're going to tick. They're going to make noise. The transmission isn't going to shift quite right after a while. Is that truly a manufacturer defect? What was the expectation? So I'm really careful with stuff like this because, number one, back to where I started, $2,700 per person for 30,000 people. They probably covered a tenth of the potential people out there that have a 5.3 that might have some oil consumption. And the whole part about cleaning the pistons, they had a process. That's written by somebody, I think, that was in a higher tower that really, they should have went down in the shop before they wrote that. Because your imagination would be that they've got these pistons out on a shelf and they're like petting them like cats and cleaning them and
Steel
they have it's a soak process that sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. But you got to get it soon enough you don't have the wear already.
My problem with this, I'm in that group. I'm not in the class. I didn't participate. But you telling me about it right now is a surprise because this is the first I've heard about it. So seeing that the number is 30,000, even though I own one of these vehicles,
I did
with
read
one
that
of these
right,
engines,
didn't I, Chris?
38,000.
Yeah, I own one of these vehicles with one of these engines, and I've had at least in the last 10 years a dozen letters that say, hey, there's a class action lawsuit for X. Would you like to join? And I just go, I read it because I'm involved in the show and I want to know what it is. And I go, no, I'm going to get $100 out of that or
Most
$20
time it's like $27 and an
giving
Outback
up my
gift
rights. So
certificate.
I throw it away. I guarantee you, I have not got one for my Tahoe that fits that. So, there should be, I think more people should have been notified somehow. I
think this one was they were going with that next generation.
And I haven't seen it come up on our Mitchell system
Yeah, that's
either that
interesting.
says there's a TSB because every time if you come in with your Solstice, Chris, it's going to say TSB or recall, new, active.
Right.
And it's not coming up. So they didn't do a very good job of hitting the big places.
Let's say it out loud again, Russ.
Why would you?
Right. If the attorneys are starting this class and classes get started all the time about things,
Right.
and then all of a sudden you start doing remedies, you are putting yourself even more exposed to.
You're giving evidence.
Yeah.
I mean,
so oh my gosh.
and it might just be Hey,
and that's where I get back to. I don't know how these manufacturers can win in these deals. Don't get me wrong. If there's a problem, there's a problem. But how can they win in these deals?
Right. Look at Audi and Volkswagen. You remember that oil debacle thing?
Yep.
And we know it was because people didn't change their oil.
Right.
They were going 8,000 to 12,000 miles
It was
on
some of the first direct injected gas engines. And
substandard oils. They were getting the box store.
the whole
oil
thing's a
changes.
little messy, but boy, that's an interesting one. I'd like to we'll have to follow up on that and see if there's a
See what
class action against the class action that didn't include enough people.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Patricia. You're on the Under the Hood show. Patricia, what can we do for you?
Okay, I have a 2021 Ford Escape, and I had a recall on the brake vacuum booster could fail. So I had my dealership replace the front brake pads. Now they squeak and grind and seems to grab. And when I talked to the service manager, he said, well, they all do that. It's really embarrassing. He said that the brake pads are glass and that the squeak will be there forever. So is that true?
We can clarify some of this because I think in the interpretation between what he was trying to say and he must not have done a good enough job getting across to you. I think what he was trying to tell you, or didn't have enough knowledge to really nail it well for you. So let's give it a shot here. Russ, isn't there two different things going on here with the brake booster recall and the noises?
Yes. The brake booster recall is for a potential leak, and that leak will give you fuel trims that are off and change your mileage and a check engine light possibly. And in the worst case, a brake pedal that doesn't assist you with braking as much as it should. So you step on it and it's harder to push down. And it doesn't affect all vehicles. They're going to inspect it and see if yours is in that class and if it's leaking and needs to be redone. Doesn't affect your sound from your brake at all or your pads or wear items at all. Your brake pads, however, are on all new cars now. They're pretty much everyone is standard with what they call ceramic brake pads. So they are while they're not glass, they are ceramic technology, and the ceramics in there help prevent wear as fast as the old organic pads, prevent noise and brake dust because they're using ceramic technology instead of metallic, semi-metallic.
Well, and that's kind of an issue too, because a lot of the environmentalists were getting pretty excited about
That dust.
the stuff coming off the brakes that's along the roads.
Some of the highest pollution in the San Francisco Bay was the water washing the brake dust off of the highway into the bay. So that was a big part of the
and
ceramic
that's whether it's a
change.
yeah.
And while they're not connected, it's very likely that if I brought my car in and said, "Hey, can you look at the brakes and that recall, etc." And if you put it up on the lift and saw I needed brake pads,
I'm going to suggest it.
Right.
Because it's
So
a
that's-
safety thing.
So these two things.
Yeah, and he needs to finish his explanation. I cut him off.
Sorry,
But
go
they
ahead.
should not squeak. If you came into our shop and we were putting on a set of brake pads and rotors, front or rear, and we used the ceramic ones, which is what the OEM specified, I would expect them to be quiet and not squeak. It has been a very long time, several years since we have had any customer come back in and say, I have squeaky brakes, you put them on, fix them, please. It has happened, but we choose the best parts from the best auto parts suppliers. We choose Sturdivant's Auto Parts here in our local market, and we use their brand of brake pads. The AC Delco pads work great. The Motorcraft pads work great. I don't know what they're putting on at your dealership. I would assume, and I think it's a pretty good assumption, that they're using a Motorcraft pad, but I don't know which one they're using. But if they do squeak, we need to look into it. It could even be that it's not their brake pads that's squeaking, but rather when they lifted the wheel off the car, they bumped the brake shield, and it is holding it against the rotor, so it's squeaking a little bit, and it's as simple as them reaching underneath and pulling it back a quarter inch, and it stops.
If you can replicate the squeak all the time, you need to drive the vehicle back to them and get the service advisor and say, and it's harder nowadays because most of the dealerships have a process you go through with either an online appointment or going through a scheduler. It's harder to get to that person that is going to actually be connected to the technician. But somebody needs to, on an appointment, just go with you and say, all right, listen, this is not normal. Let's look at it. And then they can bring it in and inspect it. Because otherwise, we all can do it very easily. You make assumptions based on the facts that you think you know. And then all of a sudden you look at it or you get it up on the hoist, you're like, oh, yeah, you do have something going on here. But 90% of the time, there would be nothing going on, and you give those talking points. But it's that 10% of the time where you kind of got to pump the brakes and say, okay, let's take a look at this and see what's
Pump the
going on.
brakes.
Let's see what's happening.
Is that what she needs? She just needs to pump the brakes? Is that what you
Did I? I did
I-
not
I
mean to use
definitely
pump the
don't want to
brakes
pump my
analogy
brakes.
during a brake description. That was not. If
Would
I would
they
have intended that, it would have been
ignore
brill-
that part?
If I would have intended that, it would have been brilliant.
If you pump your brakes, do they squeak?
Does that help you?
I kind of thought that maybe they did something that, because it was right away when they drove my car up to the dealership. I got in because I walk with a walker, and I backed up. I put my brakes on, and I called them. I said, "What is this?" And they said, "Well, that's just normal. You'll have that."
And
I
I'm just
called
going to
my
double
nephew.
check something you said at the beginning. You said that they inspected it and they did put on new brake pads, or was it just okay?
I have new brake pads.
Okay. How many miles are on your Escape?
26. I'm a horrible driver. I'm 74 years old, and I use it to drive to the doctor and buy groceries. And
So a lot of in town stopping and going, and
I've had it for years. So it's terrible.
Where
I
you,
had a 2012 Toyota Rav, and I bought it in 2012, and I traded it in 2021 on my Escape.
Sure.
And I had 20,500 miles.
oh, they were. Your trade-in was probably a shrine when it came in. People were
It
probably
was.
walking around it with the conch and making chants and.
So they told me somebody in New York bought it and actually put it on a transport and drove it out there. And I assume maybe it went to somebody graduated from high school.
It went to somebody that was very happy because a 2012 vehicle, a Toyota like that with that low miles would have been a premium item for anybody to resell.
Well, Patricia, good luck. Have them take another look because
Yeah.
it sounds like there's what they think you're describing is not what you're describing, I think, is what the situation
That's what
is.
it sounds like.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150.
Be sure to visit our website for news, contests, and previous shows at underthehoodshow.com. Welcome back, everybody. It's time to get back under the hood with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's go to Mississippi and talk to Terrell. Terrell, you're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Yeah, I got a 2016 Ford Fusion. I got that throttle actuator code P2111, and I think the thing was replaced about a couple of years ago. But those things bad about just repeatedly going out like that.
I'm not quite. Can you repeat what you said at the beginning there? Because Russ and I are both looking at each other, seeing if we caught the right thing here. Let's just repeat that one more time.
Yeah, I got a 2016 Ford Fusion, and I got a throttle actuator code in there, P2111.
P2111
Yeah.
for an actuator code.
The code is it. Yeah. And the code says that I got one of four options. Either the pedal sensor or the actuator or a couple more things. What's most common to go out on those things?
The throttle body.
Okay.
The most common problem we have with those is the actual throttle body itself. That's where we see over 90% of our failures. With all the heat and everything you get under the hood, they just have issues. Some of them, we've unplugged the throttle body and looked at the connector, gave it the old look like Chris does now, plugged it back in, and it's been just fine. We're like, well, let me look at that first, make sure the pins are okay. We plug it back together and try to finish our diagnosis, and we're like, no, it's working. No. Well, great. We can't break it.
Maybe you move the circuit just enough inside that it...
Something. But when they do fail, a lot of times it's the throttle body that's ultimately the issue. I don't think we've ever put a pedal in one. That's pretty rare. We've had just a couple of GMs we've done pedals in. They have gotten so good with these throttle pedal systems because I think they're engineered a little better. Their standards are a little higher. They don't want them to break because it's such a control safety issue that they're getting really good at it. In the beginning, they had a few more pedals, but throttle bodies, yeah, we still do a fair amount of throttle bodies on everything pretty much. Hondas, Fords, GMs, Chryslers, we do plenty of throttle bodies on them. So that's what I lean towards. And sometimes you can tap on it, take like a rubber mallet or the rubber end of a screwdriver and just lightly tap on it on the motor side. And if it throws a code then, you're guaranteed you got a problem with that throttle body.
Does that help you out there, Terrell?
Yeah. Like I said, the dealership, I think they replaced it about a couple of years ago. But like I said, you just clear the code, go in limp on mode after you drive it a while, and set it off and crank it back up, and take it back off, But I know I think it was replaced about a couple of years ago. That's why I was wondering about it.
If they put a throttle body on it a couple of years ago, I could see that it could be bad again.
It happens. You'd wish not, but it does happen. But like Russ just said, maybe just try going out there and unplugging it, inspect that plug-in close, move it around a little bit, and put it back on and see what happens.
Rubber end of the screwdriver. What kind of fancy tools you got over there, man? That's
the good one.
Yeah, top of the line, huh? Mine are still
right on the forehead,
like corrugated plastic, the yellow and black.
You don't have any with rubber on the end?
I don't think I do.
Remember the old ones that were black rubber and that was kind of a darkish yellow plastic underneath the...
Yeah.
That you could see through.
Yeah, it was kind of translucent.
They were made by Stanley.
Yes.
They still make them.
That's a good-looking screwdriver.
Black with the clear...
An amber.
Yeah.
I have Stanley black with the yellow, grooves in it.
That's just a hard plastic.
And a lot of mine, they would kind of irritate your hand when you turn them because I would use the vice grips on them to try to get a little more torque to...
So you've nicked it a little?
You hit the top with a hammer and flatten it out, and then you try to turn it. That was my impact driver before I learned about an impact screwdriver.
Exactly. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. 4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Prepare to learn something. You're going under the hood.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. If you like us on Facebook and you join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, you could win a hoodie.
And subscribe to every podcast. You've
Yes.
listened to at least 95%
Please
of them.
do.
You drive a red car. You call us No.
Please do subscribe.
Doug's in there going, stop. They're never going to care. We do have a podcast, though, and we've asked people over the past couple months, please subscribe, because when you do, then other people looking for an automotive podcast, they go, oh, look, let's show them this one, and then they can find us easier. They don't care about listeners anymore. They care about subscribers, which is crazy. And then they don't bug you and tell you that the new podcast is there unless you've got notifications turned on. So why don't you subscribe? That'd be awesome. Thanks.
Rant over.
Yeah.
Corey Green is this week's winner on this episode. There'll be another one coming up here shortly, too. But congratulations, Corey Green, from our friends over at Universal Technical Institute. We love those guys. They got a great place. Many campuses across the United States here, with many opportunities to learn about cars and boats and boat engines and other marine mechanic stuff and motorcycles and side-by-sides and welding and CNC and just a plethora of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So check them out, uti.edu.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Justin. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Justin, what can we do for you?
Yeah, see, I have a 2015 Chevy Duramax, the 6.6 LML, and I'm just kind of curious, you had a previous caller talking about oil change durations, or maybe you guys were just talking about the lawsuit or whatever they had. But anyways, I was curious, it's like a 6,000-mile oil change on the dash, if you go by that. Is that something that you think is accurate, or is that kind of long for that? Seems kind of long.
Well, yes and no. I would say GM's a lot closer to oil changes with their truck at 6,000 miles on that Duramax than they are with a car at 8,000 or 7,000 miles. Light duty stuff that's going to get a lot less running. For everyday driving, if you're hopping in that truck and putting 300-400 miles a day on it, you're doing a lot of driving. It's fully warmed up, stuff like that. You're not really pulling a trailer, but you got all your tools in the back end, and you're going to your job site. You're making a haul. That's going to be fair, 5,000-6,000 miles. If you're loading it every day, if I was pulling a camper with that everywhere I went, and maybe not putting as many miles on it, but I was pulling a camper with it, or I was pulling a skid loader with that thing every day, I would probably knock that down for my own vehicle to like 4,000. Just because they'll go longer. They hold more oil, and they've got a heavier duty oil, a better oil. But with all the soot that's generated and blows by those piston rings and those things, and all the pressure you've got with the turbo, if you're really loading it, I like to knock that oil change down some. And our customers that drive those things and they come into our shop with 350, 400,000 miles on them, most of them are telling me they're between 4,000 and 5,000 on oil changes. But again, with the number of miles they're putting on them and in the time frame, they're 4 to 6 months that those miles are occurring in. So if you're on the highway every day towing with it, it's going to be hard for you you're going to have to just look at your own oil and kind of work with your shop and make a decision, because you might be, let's say you're hauling a car trailer, delivering cars, and you're hauling one car on a trailer, and maybe you put 600 miles a day on hauling for a dealership. You may pull that stick out at 5,000 miles and go, this is not as dirty as it gets when I haul my camper on vacation. Let's go a little longer. So we don't want you to waste oil by changing it too soon, but we don't want you to start wearing the engine by wearing your oil out, because not only will the oil break down, but its viscosity and the molecules in it break down in the protective packages. But when the motor starts collecting dirt, in there by way of carbon and that unburned diesel fuel, that contamination is what does harm to the engine too. If you could imagine a big old bucket of soapy water, eventually the soap breaks down and you're just left with water and it won't clean anything. But if that was lubrication for something and you throw a bunch of sand in on top of it, well, now it's not only does it have doesn't have that protection, but you've thrown grit in there to start wearing parts. So it's kind of a fine-tuned, not a game, but a learning curve to find out how often does it need to be changed. There are many companies out there you can send an oil sample into, and they'll tell you how much dirt and soot is accumulated. Your oil filter's pulling some out, but these companies that do oil inspections will analyze it and say, you know what, you could go longer on this oil, and we'd suggest doing that. You get on the internet, you'll find a lot of them that do that.
Very big in the heavy truck world.
Because the heavy trucks, when you're spending hundreds of dollars on oil changes, you don't want to change it too soon.
Right.
And we find a lot of guys that are truckers, and they'll say, we can definitely go longer on our oil change.
But as far as your initial question, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, how about on the ops end of the spectrum? I don't put a lot of miles on it a day. It's mostly in town, so my duration of my oil changes maybe are a little bit longer in the month. Is that more important than to change it? If I don't hit that 6,000 miles,
the thing that we really get worried about with people, and I sit there and stay up at night or anything, but just want to put across the point is that if you're not letting that thing get up to a good warm run cycle, there is a lot of moisture and different things that get involved in that system. I mean, they've got a lot of piping and a lot of stuff going on with that Duramax.
EGR and all that.
And so, you're going to be at that mileage or less probably if you're not letting that thing get up to good run cycles on a daily basis. Even though you're not putting on many miles.
That's where our Justice Brothers EGR emission system cleaning kit comes into play. They developed that because of so many of these that had problems with the EGR sticking and things like that and having to be replaced at big bucks because of people that drive them shorter trips like you're doing. On my own truck, it doesn't get enough miles to be changed, but I change the oil every 6 months because that's about where I don't want to go any longer. I could with the miles I put on it, but I don't want to go any longer because I want to get that thing cleaned out. And I don't even have an EGR. It didn't come with one.
And that's probably more what I need to be worried about then.
Yeah.
100%. Drive cycles are good for vehicles. I mean, the internal combustion engine, the way they design them now, they're designed and engineered to work their best when they get regular heat cycles run through them. And it's not just going to the grocery store. It's a good loop out around the town, driving to a small town nearby and coming back for dinner one night. Just things you can do to, on a regular basis, get that thing heated up and ran for 30 miles.
Justin, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. What's caught your guys' attention?
Rusty, you got something? Go ahead. I've had a letter sitting here that I did want to make reference to for a couple weeks, and the point I wanted to make across on this is just, to me, it's really, really cool. I mean, we're the type of people that we believe in seeing people grow and build and make better for themselves, and we get a number of letters from people that are incarcerated, and they send out letters to things that they have been able to see in media that they have access to, or in a magazine that they have access to. But in a couple cases, there must be a place down in Texas that has our podcast as one of the available things to listen to, as they go about this. So we get a number of these letters, and I want to thank our listeners and encourage them to be. They're the particular one I have now is talking about somebody that's a certified mechanic, and they're eager. They're getting close to the end of their sentence, and they're getting ready to come out with what's next. They've been listening to all this stuff. They've got strong opinions on things about whether it be biofuels or when to change oil or what kind of oil to use, and depending on how long they've been incarcerated, some of their opinions are interesting because they're based on something that might have been from maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't know the stories or the situations, but I know that these are people when I get these letters. And sometimes it'd be easy just to shuffle them through. And and occasionally I get a chance to respond to a couple. I don't get enough time to do all of them. This is appreciated that somebody, they obviously have time, but taking the time to write to our show, thank you. And
Absolutely.
I'm glad we can provide some entertainment as you work on your next steps in life. And a combination of support there and faith and getting closer to the end of your journey. Get ready to go out and help, because, boy, we could use some good mechanics out there in the workforce that have got skills and a determination and eagerness. I just want to encourage those folks.
866-594-4150. What do you got?
Yesterday, pulled up to get gas in my car.
Uh-oh.
And
He's getting out his phone because he took a picture of
I
something.
did, because I just want to be accurate here. Accuracy is good. So I'm looking at a picture, and I see no lead, or I see unleaded with ethanol, and then I see 15% ethanol. Well, here's the deal. The E10 is $349.9. The E15 is $359, so 1 penny different. E30 is $340. E85, $279. It's good to see that the E85 is a little closer to what it's supposed to be, because we have ins. We know what the wholesale price is of gasoline and the wholesale price of E85, and when you put them together, there was a while there that we were seeing a lot of E85 that was not reflective of the true price. And I just recently, if you go to Google and you Google price gouging in ethanol, you will come up with first one that came up was a study, I believe it was Illinois, where they found that some companies were intentionally pricing ethanol products higher to make them appear to be not as good a bargain and as good for you as you thought. So, I mean, why would you buy it if you don't like it? Why would you buy it if it's just as much money as the other stuff? So they were high, but sometimes I look at these prices and they really confuse me, and I'm sure they confuse a lot of you as drivers out there right now, because when you see a price of E30 at only 10 cents or 9 cents cheaper than regular the regular 10%, you just go, that's weird. And I've noticed gas prices have been fluctuating a lot around the country, up and down. I mean, California,
Sure, yeah.
Yesterday there were people on there. I was looking at Gas Buddy, and over $7 in some area, which is just insane, because it's just California. It's not like they're not that far from the neighboring state, which is at 4 something. So it's crazy. But the price of diesel, where we're at, I can be in the bigger market, and all the diesel fuel has been hovering around $4.69 to $4.89 for several weeks. But yet, over the last 2 weeks, it's dropped down to as low as $3.91 in one of our on a corner exit, and $3.98 where we're at. Now it's shooting back up like a rocket. But why? This is a question, I guess, for everybody, but you ever wonder why, you can have one gas station, like in your city, you got the gas prices at X, and then you go 2 miles out of town and everything else is different? It just makes it, I think we should just all be angry at the way the prices fluctuate around.
By the way, let me jump in and say, not the person who's at the counter.
No, definitely not.
They have zero
They have
control
zero.
over it.
That's another question that came up this week, too. I was talking to Jake in our shop, and I said, we all go to convenience stores and buy fuel. I wonder, do you think the prices change, like, automatically? Does the cashier... I've never been... As many times as I've been in one for coffee or whatever, I've never had the cashier or a customer come in and go, I just got fuel. Oh, good thing you got it now, because I just noticed our sign just changed by 4 cents. Huh? And do they... I know in the old days, I've been there where they used to, the old Veeder root machine, you type in and you type in the price, and out at the pump, it would switch. As soon as they turned it off, the next person turns it on. it goes up or down.
That's a good question. I wonder where that.
But does it that a lot of them have the satellite dish on the
Where
side
that
of the
switch
building?
is.
Are they being is corporate like Circle K? Does the corporate just some person sitting at their desk they type in and
Okay,
this is what?
now
That's a good question.
Yeah, I wonder where the change.
somebody out there listening knows that answer.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you wouldn't want to put it on. What if you put it on a manager of your station and they were sick and they forgot to change it and the price had gone up like here 8 cents overnight on diesel and they sold
Yeah, that's a good.
$5,000 of diesel fuel today and you're like, guys, it was supposed to go up. What? Or it was supposed to go down.
So you're saying it's a long ways past the guy with the long stick with the suction cup on it?
Oof. Go out and yeah. Had to stick the tanks every day too and see how much
Yeah,
fuel do we
exactly.
have in there. Yeah, there's a lot that goes on in that industry, but I guess we could all complain about prices on this stuff, but I just wonder
We
sometimes
need to find an answer to that question.
I think so. That's a good.
but you should, if you have questions, if you ever see, especially biofuel products, and you see very little difference between the price of non-ethanol and a heavy ethanol product like E85, yeah, you're in your rights to ask questions. Why is it so little a difference? Because you can get online and you can see what those prices are, and they're always much cheaper.
But again,
It's not the
it's
person
not
behind
the
the
person
desk.
ringing you up. I'm sure of
Just
it.
be happy they're there.
Yeah, get online and get to the corporate level. Don't worry about the people behind the desk. They're
Excuse
awesome.
me, who can I talk to about the difference between the prices?
They're gonna go, "I don't
that's
know."
all you can say to the clerk there. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Get your planner out right now and schedule your next radio appointment with the Motor Medics.
866-594-4150. That's the phone number to reach us. And don't forget, you can watch the podcast and show if you want at our YouTube channel and our Facebook page. What's caught your attention?
Well, there's just plenty of recall information always. You know, recall roulette, we haven't done that for a long time. And I actually have a extended warranty notification on a Hyundai, and it does not involve the engine.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because we've talked so much about some engine problems as of recent. But this particular one is Hyundai Sonatas and the Sonata hybrid plug-in vehicles may exhibit reduced power steering assist and or motor-driven power steering, MDPS. Did you know that, Chris? MDPS.
I could have figured it out.
And so they are committed to providing vehicles with outstanding quality and value in an effort to meet that commitment. The warranty coverage for certain model year 2015 to 17 Sonata and Sonata hybrid plug-in vehicles has been extended to 15 years from the date of the original retail delivery or date of first use or 150,000 miles. So there is another cap there. You got your 15 years and then your 150,000 miles, whichever occurs first. And according to Hyundai, I may own one of these. I may own 10 of these. That's something that we try really hard to keep up on is the vehicles that we have dismantled for parts in our dismantling operation.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to make sure that we have those vehicles accounted for to try to get them off of these lists. And some manufacturers are better than others, and it's something that we're going to continue to work on. And our industry, our trade association, which I'm getting more and more involved with the Automotive Recyclers Association, is really pressing to try to get this recall data integrated into more places and the warranty data so that more people have easy access to it so that they can tell me, like this one, which I really like, it tells me this extended warranty deal. If I was a consumer, it's got my VIN number on there. I know this is my car, and I can go out and look at it and say, yep, I still own the one that ends in 232849, and this applies to me. And then I read it, and it says 150,000 miles, 15 years. Oh, shoot, I got 160,000 miles. I guess this one doesn't apply to me. And then I can crumple it up and throw it away because there's not a chance that they're going to extend it any further until they actually extend it further.
But that's a long time, isn't it? 15 years.
But the 150,000 miles is going to come long before that.
For most people, but still, and they know that. They know that. But look, the average miles on cars are so high.
He should have said 30 years or 150,000 miles.
Your
Sounds good.
lifetime or 150,000 miles.
Your lifetime or 75,000 miles.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Brian. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Brian, what can we do for you?
I got something I was wanting to ask. I don't know if you've ever heard of. I got a 1970 Formula 400. It's all original, so it's got points in the system. It doesn't have electronic ignition. This thing, if you say you want to do run the quarter mile or just hold it flat on the floor and go, when you have it on the floor, this thing just falls on space and cuts out, and it kind of, and you let off the throttle a little bit, and then it just takes off and goes. So one day it blew my fuse on my gauges in my dash. All the gauges go out. So I took it one day and I was checking with that, and I left that fuse out. And if you just step on it and hold to the floor, it'll do a burnout, and it'll run a quarter mile just as fast as hard as you want. And you put that fuse back in, and it just falls flat on its face. Have you ever heard of that? Is there a connection like this? A distributor, the point, something electronic, electrical.
Does the car have a hood tack?
No, it doesn't.
Probably has nothing to do with it, but
No.
I was kind
No.
of
You
curious.
just wanted to know.
I just wanted to know.
Picture it.
Now, those are the ones
Okay.
with a couple scoops.
I've
If they're, I'm picturing this
Yeah,
exact
I've talked to
car.
a lot of. I got the hood scoops and stuff. It's got the Formula hood, the Ram Air, air cleaner and everything.
You have the Turbo 400 trans in it,
Yep, Turbo 400, 12
And-
volt.
and the little electric switch on the side of the carburetor. Have you looked close?
Nope.
There's no electric
Nope,
switch
this
for it.
has got a. Nope, this has actually got like a 750 Holly on it.
Okay, so it's
Double
been
filter.
changed. Okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because some of them had. I was just wondering if it had anything that was affecting that there. I don't know why it would blow
Yeah.
your fuses, or your fuses would have anything to do with it. They really should not, because your ignition wire, that purple ignition wire from the coil, runs right back to your ignition switch. It doesn't have a fuse in it. The gauge's fuse would be part of your tack fuse. Now, it's possible that your tack in the dash has a short in it, and when that thing's powered up, it is feeding in through the negative side. If you have a short in the tack, it will do that. I would say leave your gauge fuses in, but rather go to your coil, and on the negative side of it, that little white wire that's connected to it, one goes to the distributor for your points, the other one goes to the tack inside. Disconnect that tack side. You'll see your tack doesn't work. Now see if it works just fine. If it drives just fine with that disconnected, you need to pull the tack out and then send it in. There are shops that will rebuild the tachometers on those vehicles. But I think that's what's going on. I think your tack is shorting. It's sending power through that negative side, and it's not allowing it to spark like it's supposed to. Now, you could pull that thing out and throw an AGI distributor in it, too, and solve that problem. But
Nah, you don't want to.
I would.
Yeah?
They're just more reliable, and you get a little more voltage out of it. But, yeah, I would see about that tack wire. And I'm just guessing. We got to guess what color
Oh,
this
yes.
thing
Oh,
is,
yeah.
but I'm guessing that car's kind of a pewter color.
No, it's green.
It's the blue.
Oh.
Nope, it's the blue.
I would say blue.
Blue.
What color is it?
Blue? There you go, Chris.
Brian, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. It was coincidence. I did my timing was off was all. I was going to say blue. That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150. That's our number. You can call us right now during the break. Hour 2 is coming up.
To the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show with the Motor Medics, Shannon Nordstrom and Russ the Super Tech Evans. Shannon is an ASE engine and parts specialist, and Russ is an ASE Master certified technician with extensive factory drivability training. Join the Motor Medics for fun and free automotive advice with real-world solutions to everyday automotive problems. The Under the Hood Show is heard weekly on this and other great radio stations across the U.S. Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
With Russ Evans, this is Shannon Nordstrom, thanking you for tuning in to the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show. Have a great day, and remember, PTLA.
The opinions heard on this program, based on the many years of experience of Russ and Shannon, are offered for entertainment value only and as a guide to your repair needs. No claim to repair or cause is given or implied. Always consult with your own certified technician and follow all safety procedures before attempting any repair. To be a part of the show, call 866-594-4150. Under the Hood is produced by Prairie House Productions. All content is the property of Nordstrom's Automotive Incorporated and may not be used without our permission. Copyright Nordstrom's Automotive, Inc. Now, let's go under the hood with the Nordstrom's Motor Medics.
Welcome to the Under the Hood Show. We are glad to have you with us. Russ Evans is here to answer your automotive questions.
Thanks, Chris. Thanks for joining us under the hood, everybody.
Thank you, Russ.
You're very welcome.
Shannon Nordstrom is here to do the same.
We seem to be at a different level today.
Yeah, we're bringing it down a little.
Welcome, hoodies. Thanks for tuning in so we can help you tune up.
I'm Chris Carter here to answer your calls at 866-594-4150. 866-594-4150.
Is that the only number you can remember without looking it up in your phone?
Yeah, for sure.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Other than
the
your
radio.
third grade friend.
the-
Yeah, me too.
Oh, all of the 488-8116. I have
422-5532.
all of. There was on my wall growing up, there was a sheet of notebook paper that had probably 20 years of phone numbers on it,
Oh,
just
yeah.
stacked and. I bet I could tell you 90% of the phone numbers on that
Amazing.
list. Yeah, and now I can barely tell you my cell phone
And,
number.
and only occasionally do you get to show off
Right?
with that.
Yeah, it's not a skill that's needed anymore.
Do you have a light display going on over there?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I'm gonna have to kill that monitor there.
Is that? Is he doing it?
No, I don't know.
What's going on there.
It was like he was going to have a seizure or something.
Jeepers creepers. 866-594-4150. Let's go to South Carolina and talk to David. You're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you, David?
Hi, how are you guys?
Fantastic.
I've got a 2015 Nissan Rogue with the 4-cylinder in it. I bought it used with 96,000 miles on it, and we travel back and forth to pick our granddaughter up every other week. And for the last 2 years, it's got 26, 27 miles to the gallon. And all of a sudden, like overnight, it dropped to 22 miles, sometimes 21 miles to the gallon. And I put fuel-injected cleaner in it, and I don't know what's wrong with the thing that dropped that many miles to gallon.
And you're running the same route, you're saying? This is the same course?
Yes, it's the same route. It's from Anderson to Simpsonville on 85 every other week, and I haven't changed anything. I go the same speed, 65 miles an hour, and like I say, it dropped literally overnight.
Same gas station?
Same gas station.
They're giving you less go in your fuel to save money. Yeah, that's like the bar. They're watering down the product. No, it's not possible.
I really did think that. I really did.
Yeah, they've really got no way to do that. The only way you could really lower the power of fuel to really kill your mileage like that would be as if you put so much ethanol in it, you were getting up in that, close to the E85 range, and then you have less BTUs to go. But yeah, that stuff doesn't happen. To go a big drastic switch like that overnight, it's a Rogue, got a CVT in it.
Is it going rogue?
I'm thinking the CVT might be not going to its highest gear ratio to
okay, I want to tell you that
watch the tack.
That friend, it groans when it shifts. And I've had trouble with it since we bought it. It was making one heck of a racket. I took it into a shop to have them check it over because I do have a warranty on it. And, of course, it made no noise for them. So I didn't fault them. But since I've got it back, and that was about 6, 7, 8 months ago, when it shifts, you hear it shift. It makes a groaning, I call it groaning sound, in the pan. And I didn't know whether I should take it back and try to have them do something with it or not.
With 90,000 miles on it and you've got a warranty, I would definitely
take it back,
press for a little further inspection.
Yeah, it is, and let them know. Say, hey, this thing is not
got some noise.
The RPM doesn't. My mileage has dropped. My RPM doesn't drop as far as it should on the highway. Those kind of things when you're looking at it. It's actually not shifting. It's not shifting gears. It's just changing a ratio that's constantly varying inside. CVT, constantly variable transmission. Now, it can hold it in certain positions to give it a fake feel of shifting and all that. But, if you've got noise and you've got a mileage change, I'll bet you if you knew where that tach normally was at 65, and you probably couldn't tell me, but if you hopped in it and drove it, you could look at it and go, I'm going 65, and that's not normally where the tach's at. It's usually down. It's usually pointing over here level instead of pointing up here. I bet it's revving higher than normal on the highway, and you're eating more fuel.
Chris, do you know what your tach's at on your Solstice all the time? You know where normal is?
Yeah, I do.
You know,
Do you know the
what?
number or just where it's pointing?
Well, usually it is higher. I want to say it was going 1,500. It was and now it's about 2,000 going down the road.
That'll do it right there.
I didn't think of that.
Yep, you definitely need to get that addressed by the dealer, because I would bet if you called us back in a few weeks after having the dealer check that out, you're going to say, "Hey guys, it fixed it. They put a trans in under warranty and saved me $5,000." They're expensive.
Yes. Yeah, well, I know they don't want to warranty it, but I'm going to do that, and I will call you guys back.
Perfect.
Now let us know how that worked.
Thanks, David. Thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. To answer your question, I do now because it came up recently when you asked me about my tachometer. But until when you asked me, I did not know where it was when it was shifting. I could tell you on the dial where it was, and I had to go look to see where.
Well, it's kind of like Russ just asked me during the break what color Minnie Mouse's shoes were.
Yeah.
And I just took a picture in Florida with the characters with our executive committee, and I showed it at our general meeting. And so Russ was quizzing me about Mickey and Minnie Mouse because he's looking at the picture, and you see them all the time, but there's a lot of things I can't tell you about them.
So I wasn't paying attention to the meeting. I was just going, "Hey, I've never noticed that." And then Chris tells me he has to break my bubble and say, "Yeah, you know they change outfits, right?" No, I didn't know that.
Although the one you were looking at was the traditional. I know far too much about
You are
Mickey and Minnie
you
Mouse,
are
that's
a
for sure.
you are an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to that subject.
And by the way, my son is not coming home at the end of his semester. He's going to stay an extra semester. Just
he
found out.
is?
Yeah.
I bet.
He said it's.
his son
I'm
is
learning too much. He
His
said.
son is driving one of the ships in
Yeah.
the fleet of Disney.
He said, "I think I'm going to extend. This is kind of fun. I don't want to work here for a job, but it's fun if it's not your job and you're just here."
He's got time.
Yeah.
He's young.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. 866-594-4150. You're listening to the Under the Hood Show.
Car feeling ill? Don't want to spread it to your wallet? Call the Motor Medics now for free advice.
866-594-4150. Let's talk to Ryan. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Ryan, what can we do for you?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Fantastic, Ryan.
Hey, I gotta say, first of all, you guys kill it with your show, man. That's
man.
awesome. I'm a pretty knowledgeable guy, but I still learn stuff from you guys, and the three of you together is pretty entertaining to listen to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So I got a 2014 Dodge Charger 100th anniversary edition, and I was looking to do a few upgrades to it, and one of them I was thinking was the cam on it, and I was told that the motor needs to be removed for doing the cam on that. Is that true, or is that something you can do while it's still in the vehicle?
Which engine's in it?
It's got the 5.7 Hemi.
Russ is thinking. Did you see it? Did you see that?
Oh, I could see the gears turning.
Coming
and
right over his
Yeah.
I was
face.
making an assumption it was a 5.7, but you sometimes get tricked by those Chargers, what badges they put on them and what's under the hood.
Yeah, no, you're gonna want to pull
Right.
it. You're gonna want to pull it
I
out.
honestly, myself, you're going to want to pull it out. See, that's
Yep.
kind of what I was. Yeah, that's the one thing. And, see, with Chargers, it's like, I feel like if you ain't got the Hemi, I mean, that's for the wife, I guess, you know.
I got some ladies that would challenge you on that. Some ladies in my life. But the
okay, another question. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say on your Charger there, when you're going to do, how many miles you got on your Charger?
It's got 121.
All right. You know, if you're going to do the cam, it's probably a good idea to take it out and inspect it anyway, just to make sure it's all sealed good. You know, inspect the rear main seal, inspect the valve cover gaskets on the backside. Just, you know, you can get a good look at things, and just really look it over that way. There's some of the stuff, like some of the LS stuff. I know people will do cams in vehicle if they can get enough access to the front end. They've got procedures to do that, but boy, on those Hemis, I haven't seen that's a thing.
Right, and the thing is, you know, I don't know if the horsepower, you know, if the trouble's worth it, you know, the time of pulling the motor and everything, and if you got to pull the engine out, you know, to do that. You know, I just was trying to outweigh bang for buck.
Not a bad idea, though, at that point in life, if you did it anyway, to do cam and lifters, if the motor's still in good shape.
Oh, yeah.
Before they start breaking down and running metal into the engine, that piece of it could be as valuable as the extra power you're looking for.
Yes.
Yeah, it might not be worth it just to do the cam, but the entire thing together kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think those aftermarket, like comp cams and things, they're a little better steel, a little better cam than the factory ones that came apart in a few of them.
Ryan, thanks very much for the call.
Yep.
Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's go to Mississippi and talk to Thomas. You're on the End of the Hood Show. Thomas, what can we do for you?
Hey, guys. Again, we talked before on the show, but again, I just want to tell you how much we appreciate your joint efforts to bring some entertainment and very needed expertise to car owners today. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Thomas.
very much.
Appreciate that.
I've got a 2002 Dodge Ram 1500 pickup truck called about probably 6 or 8 weeks ago. I had hit a pothole and caused a analog brake light, and check engine light to come on. We talked about it after all the things that I had tried, checked, and replaced, leaning toward that two-wheel drive ABS module. It's, like I said, it's 4.7. And I sent that off through parts supplier to Cordone to be supposedly repaired and plug and play. Well, it come back. All my lights went off except the ABS light was flashing. And I had a friend of mine put it on his Snap-on top grade scanner, and he told me it had a code 82 in it, a code 83. One had something to do with a tone ring, and one revolutions of the tire not matching or something with the other. And also said it had a mismatched VIN. And that told me right away that they did not repair my module and send it back. They substituted one probably that could be repaired and sent that back and maybe didn't flash it right. So I packed it back up, sent it back. The mail lost it. It stayed floating around for 4 months. Yeah, but anyway, they finally found it and got it back to me, said they reflashed it, but it changed nothing. I still got that mismatched VIN. I've got the code 82 and the 83 codes in there in the ABS system. And I took it to the local dealership we have here that sells Dodge. And, of course, with an 02, you know, a lot of the generation that knew how to work on those things have done retired out. You know, that thing's 20-something years old now. And the mechanic that was there tried with their small handheld Mopar scanner, and it wouldn't let him clear the codes. And and re-enter the information and reflash it. So I don't know what to do. Like I said, everything is off except the ABS light is flashing, and that's sort of annoying. And obviously, no ABS function with that thing flashing if I were to need it. So, suggestions, please.
If it's got a VIN mismatch, then they either flashed it and didn't get a VIN entered into it, or they didn't do the reset procedure when they were done to save it. I was just working this morning with YouTube. I forgot to hit the save button, so it had the wrong title. So I understand how that can go. But when we program the computers, you have to do, when you're done, you have to disconnect the power for so many seconds and then reconnect it to get it to basically save. And if you don't do that, it could lose that. So they may have kept it may be the original module, but they may have reflashed it and completely wiped everything out. But the bottom line is the VIN's not right. If it sees that that's the only module in the car that has this VIN configuration error, Cardone should be fixing that, either returning your money or getting the right VIN information in there. As for getting a shop that can program it, it should be able to be programmed. I know we can do it at our shop because we've kept our old equipment around. We don't get rid of it because we still see the older cars. But I do know a lot of these dealers, you're right, once the car is like 12, 13 years old, they need to make room for the new tools, and they don't keep the old stuff around. If they do, they're like in a box on the shelf, and they collect dust, and then eventually they go, we haven't used that in 5 years. Let's just get rid of it. And they do get rid of it. And I wish that I had some of those old tools that we threw out at some of the dealers from years ago when I have that one car a year that comes in that I might need it on. We've got some old stuff that's really old that's in the bottom drawer that we don't use, but at some point I may pull one out and say, you know what, I'm going to try to get, Shannon's got an old car. Well, let's pull it out and see if we can use this tool. That's why I haven't, it's not worth anything, but it's too good yet to throw away in case I need it. I would say maybe look for an independent shop. Ask around, ask people go to your auto parts store, ask them, what's a good independent shop that's known for being a good electronic repair shop? Maybe they've still got that equipment around to program that.
See, my problem here is we're just a small community, and
I remember.
All of our shops are retired. All of my personal mechanic that I take it to that I just mentioned has just sold his shop, and the man is not going to do mechanic work there. He's going to do tires and oil that bought it from him. And we've had 3 nice, reputable shops in our town, Independence, that's closed within the last 5 years. And unfortunately, UTI is not educating people here to take these places. And we're going to be in a mess, especially when this electric car mess takes over. Oh, can you imagine what it's going to take to be certified to work on those things?
Yeah, you do. When you're in a smaller town like that, one of the reasons the shops close, I had a couple friends that were in some smaller towns in Texas, and they were like 40 miles away from the nearest auto parts store. That became a problem because they would have to, as things got tighter where you had to be moving and really hustling every day to make a profit, they would look at your car, say, okay, we need to order a part. They would order the part in the mail. It'd have to be delivered. So we're talking, you get delivery, they'd have to pay a delivery fee and then charge more for it, and it would take a while to get. And if it was the wrong part, then they've got to double that time. They got to send it back. It can get pretty tricky to try to meet those things. And a lot of the places said, we're not going to deliver that far any longer because of fuel charges. So without being able to get the parts they need to fix these cars, that's when you get these shops that are turned into lube and, quick lube shops and basic stuff, maybe some tune-up things, but they're not going to do the mechanical work anymore. So then you got to take your car quite a distance in order to get it fixed, which makes for a whole nother process of things.
Cardone is a long-standing, reputable rebuilder of parts. I would be contacting their customer service department and just asking and just asking them, come on here now. Here's what I got going on. Tell that story just the way you told us. I would believe they would be compelled to fix that. I also would check if that's not working out, check the website for dormanproducts.com and see what they offer for that year of vehicle. You can put in a year, make, model, and you'll see what parts they make. And they specialize in sophisticated electronic parts is one of their product lines, and the ones that need to have special collaborations of VIN and different things so they can make them plug and play. I don't know if that part hits their radar of having enough demand that they've got that thing going on, but it might be a possibility that you could get a remanufactured plug and play different item that is ready for programming if you can't. But I would go back to, I did not know that Cardone offered a service like that. It makes sense that they would have a leg that works in the retail space like that. Did you do that through a parts store, or did you do it direct, or did you find it on the internet? I'm kind of curious.
I did gosh, I can't even. It was not AutoZone or something like that, but you see them advertising on TV about a one-stop auto shop online. I can't even remember the name of the
like Rock Auto probably
online. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, they've really done a good job in the online space. That's for sure.
Thomas, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. Let us know how it goes. I like the name Cardone, too, because it's car done.
Yeah, I think of Cardone, and I've got another story. I think of a guy that spoke at our prayer breakfast that was part of a mafia family, and they had connections back into that. But it had nothing to do with Cardone. But it was really an interesting story because he ended up working with Cardone in the end. It was pretty cool.
Again, total coincidence, no connection.
But that's where just my mind goes. Great story.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show. 866-594-4150.
Make a radio appointment each week to hear the Nordstrom's Under the Hood Show.
866-594-4150. This is the Under the Hood Show, brought to you by Sturdivant. Russ, if we subscribe to the YouTube channel and we join the Hoodie Fan Club at underthehoodshow.com, we could win a hoodie.
Do it. Like William Pence. Congratulations from all of us under the hood and our friends over at Universal Technical Institute. Even though they don't have a campus in that tiny little Mississippi town that our last listener was in, you could go to Orlando.
That's right.
It's a little haul, but, Mississippi, Orlando, you could go there. Or you could head over to the west, go to Houston.
Yep.
That's another one there. Dallas area. There's a lot of them around. And, hopefully, there's so many openings around the country. You could go there, you could get your training, and you could make a dent in the automotive world and really
here's what you do.
Change things.
Go to UTI, get your degree, and then go work for some guy who's got a shop he's getting up there a little bit. He does, current cars and older cars. Learn all the stuff from him, and then in 4 or 5 years, you buy that from him.
Well, make a deal with the guy, and he's looking for some retirement dollars. You make a contract for deed.
Mm-hmm.
Work it out so he can get some money in retirement. You keep the shop name going.
Yep.
He's got pride on the line because he likes to see what he did.
All right. We solved it.
Yep.
Let's go. What's next? UTI.edu. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Brian. You're on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you?
Hi, got an antifreeze question.
Okay.
Got a 97 Chevy, got the old 5.7 in it. The dealer put intake gaskets in it way back when it was, under warranty. I got, 70,000-80,000 on it. I've been adding water to it now for the last, 6-8 years. I don't drive it very often, but I went and put intake gaskets in myself, tore it all down, put it in there, and everybody's telling me get rid of that Dexacool. That eats all the gaskets or whatever in there. So I just went back to the old green, and I know there's your extended life red, right? And then there's the Dexacool. Them are two different animals. They're not. And then is that true? Or
No.
I was just wondering if I should have put the extended life back in it, or am I okay with the green and a freeze in it on that old of a vehicle?
You should be using extended life. If they recommend it for the vehicle from the factory, there's more to it than just extended life. And the deck school, it doesn't eat the gaskets up. But here's the problem. When coolant is not changed at its specified intervals, and it gets to the point where it starts becoming acidic, it will eat stuff away. Water do the same thing. If you were in a climate area where you didn't need antifreeze, you get a lot of rust, but it would eventually become acidic and eat up things. The green antifreeze will do the same thing. Got to use test strips and find out if it's becoming that way. That'll allow you to go longer. Otherwise, if you change the coolant and a little more often, you would avoid that and avoid them getting eaten up. If the coolant ever gets low with extended life coolant, and a lot of it is OAT, which is organic antifreeze technology, it will start to dry up or turn to like jello, and it will ruin the system. So when somebody sees one, they pull off a cap and say, "Oh, look at this! It looks horrible in there. It must be the Dexcool." And yes, the Dexcool formula was an amazing formula for heavy trucks and Caterpillar and stuff like that. And some guy at GM decided not to put the right package. We had this talk about the knock. I think his name was Dave, wasn't it, Chris? And we said, hey.
For the sake of the story, it was Dave.
Sure.
I think, yeah.
This seems like Dave for everybody, But they finally said, yeah, well, it could have been a little better. And they fixed it because now everybody knew that there was things. So you need to have that in there. But there's more than just that. They found that systems like in yours, the knock sensor, which is screwed into the cooling system, and it's listening for resonant harmonics of the engine at different times to tell if it's knocking or not, which adjusts the timing, which in turn changes your fuel mileage. Well, it hears things differently when it's hearing it through green conventional antifreeze versus organic antifreeze technology and extended life.
We both made that face.
So
Shannon.
I think I've heard him say that before, but it just kind of steals it.
As that waveform is going through, if you're looking at it on a scanner, on an oscilloscope, you would see that it's picking up something different, much different than it would if it had different coolant in it. So it can affect your mileage. We've had people that, you remember over the years, Shannon, we used to have this a lot.
Yeah, this is a common question.
And in the late 90s,
long,
early 2000s.
Long enough ago that I'm surprised again when I hear it.
Right. It comes up, and they'd be like, my car lost 3 miles to the gallon, and all I did was have my coolant flushed. And we were like, you're nuts. That could not happen. And sure enough, that's what it was determined as later. So if you're not worried about that and it hasn't happened, you're probably just fine with the green. But if you do have that issue, you might want to consider going back. But there's no reason not to use the extended life anymore. They want silicate free because of some of the water pumps can be damaged by that if you're using the extended life that's silicate free. The Dexcool, it's made for that. But both Dexcool and any other extended life is going to be a good coolant now. They fixed all the problems.
I was going to say, and we've talked about this like 15 years ago, that, Shannon, the Dexcool name, there is a population, a section of the population, and I would say an older section, that just automatically thinks the Dexcool
they were tainted
no
so bad by the problems that they had that they just still remember that as the common truth.
And now it's not the same at all.
And we said, why
we're
like, why didn't they change the name?
Just change the name and it would be fine. Yeah. So does that help you out there, Brian?
Yeah. Yep. I did notice my mileage went the heck after I did this too. I thought it was like your last caller here. Maybe it was the gas, a couple callers ago. But
I still have. I had a customer that thought I was so crazy. I said, "Look, if I change your coolant back to what belongs in there, you pay me, and if it doesn't, you don't pay me." Well, they paid me. We flushed it out, put it together, and they paid me for my time. And they thought, "You guys are great." And I'm like, "Well, it takes so little to impress on this one, It was an easy fix."
Brian, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Butch here on the Under the Hood Show. What can we do for you? Butch, are you there? We've lost Butch.
We need to talk to Butch because the tease
got a cool car.
The tease on this is huge. I have to talk to Butch.
Butch, are you there?
Don't give up on him.
We've lost Butch, I think.
Our preview screen from the call screener says 87 GNX.
Butch, call us back. 866.
It's black.
594 41.
Are you sure?
I'm positive, unless it's been modified. We did see a Royal Purple had a purple Grand National at SEMA the one year.
I saw one of those that
which
was painted white.
It was kind of cool, but not quite right to see a purple Grand National.
Let's talk about you got a big weekend and
We got
next
some
week.
stuff coming up at Nordstrom's here, and we are going to have I'll hit one quick here. We've got a 15th annual event.
Has it been that long?
It's been that long, Russ. At our self-service facility that we call You Pull It, which is on property out at our country location. Russ, of course, manages the service facility, which is right on the edge of the small town of Garrettson, where he has his service facility with the team up there. And we have our self-service facility right on property. Every one of these things got a different business model going on. They're all under one corporate umbrella, but they all have different stuff happening. This self-service facility is having our Harvest Day where people can come out. It's from Saturday, October 8th from 8 to 5. And during that time, there will be some years up to 1,000 people that come out. And some come just to watch, but people go out and they remove as many auto parts as they can from the 1,200 vehicles we have out there. They rotate all the time, the inventory does. And then they see how many things they can fit into a wheelbarrow and push it through a course that my dad makes different every year because
like
he gets
a carnival.
It is like a carnival. My dad's a carny. He gets a big charge out of that, and the customers, most of them, entertained by it also. Some are very irritated, and I keep reminding of that. He's going to push the wrong button on somebody someday. But he knows them all pretty well, it seems like, over the years. And they will do some amazing things to get all those parts for $40. We have added a couple of things. We have some heavier-duty carts that they can spend $70 on now. And we also have the Outlaw Express lane that they can spend $100 and just a couple people can help, but they still got to roll it through, and there's bigger loads that they can push through. And so Harvest Days is at You Pull It this Saturday, October 8th. There's also a scavenger hunt where there's parts out in the cars that are painted certain colors, not to be told until the day of.
Sure.
And then when you find that part, you receive the equal amount of credit to what that part would normally cost to shop again at You Pull It. So it's not like you're going to come out here and you're going to be, I'm going to go out and get this. I'm going to collect some cash. No, we don't do it that way. You got to get credit to come buy parts at You Pull It later. So there's some stuff going on, and that's at Harvest Days this Saturday, October 8th, at You Pull It Self-Service Used Auto Parts, Garrettson, South Dakota, just northeast of Sioux Falls. Whew. Next Wednesday, we have at our main facility, Nordstrom's. A lot of people know it as Nordstrom's 2.0. We redid everything in 2018. We've got a beautiful brand new facility out here. It's where the studio is.
It's where we are right now.
We are here in Nordstrom's 2.0 right now with the Under the Hood Show studio. And we are going to have in our Kenai training room, which is the name of our training room, Constant and Never-Ending Improvement, Energy Security Agency, ESA, in conjunction with the South Dakota Professional Towing Association, and we are the host facility for a training event on safety for first responders and towers that are having to recover and tow electric vehicles. I've heard one of the speakers for ESA at a national conference that I went to, and I was very impressed. This is a pay event. It's not a free event. And the goal is to get the managers and fire chiefs and EMTs and volunteer fire departments, these sort of folks involved to come out. The information, there is an event. I don't have that in front of me, but I will find that event and I will share it on the Under the Hood Show page. I can do that, can't I?
Yep.
I'll do that soon. Maybe I'll do that at the top of the hour here and get that shared. But that event is coming up, and it's going to be a good thing. And what typically happens at those events when I've been to them, they spend about the first half of it scaring the death out of you of what could happen. And then the second half, they bring down the reality of, okay, if you do these things, you're going to be okay.
Right.
But there was so much that I learned that is so important for the fire people, the first responders, the towing operators that need to know. And that'll be at our facility on Wednesday, the 12th, I believe it is. And that is an event that'll be going on during the workday here. And they're also going to have some vehicles to look at for examples. And we're getting all the program put together. And like I said, we're the host facility. and those people are going to be coming here to do their work.
And the carpet will be spotless.
Did you notice there was a hallway blocked?
Yeah. Yep. I tried to go down it and was stopped, and I heard the carpet being cleaned, I believe.
Thank you to Victory Life Youth after their youth group meeting out here on Wednesday night that they were able to move all those tables and chairs to get ready for the carpet cleaner. Yes.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we want to hear from you. The phone number to reach us, 866-594-4150. And we should mention again, check our Facebook page.
Yeah, I'll get it posted up there soon.
866-594-4150. We're going to take a break. We want to hear from you on the Under the Hood Show.
Find out how you can participate in the show by visiting underthehoodshow.com.
866-594-4150. That's the number to reach us here at the Under the Hood Show. Let's talk to Bob. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Bob, what can we do for you?
Yeah, I was listening to you guys talk a lot about oil and intervals. I have purchased a 2017 GMC Sierra with 5.3 in it. It has 166,000 miles on it. I was just wondering what your recommendations would be for oil change intervals and oil to use in it.
Well, that truck has got 160,000 miles on already. And is it all original as far as you know?
Yes, it's all original.
And it sounds good, runs good, works good today?
Yes, it does.
Do you know the maintenance history at all on who you bought it from, on what they did?
No, I do not know the maintenance history because it came from, I believe, down in Omaha.
Now, some of the repair shops have the systems built into their management system that allows them to get shop data if they've been used at a common place that shares data to see what the work has been done, what has been done over time.
That's very common now.
Yeah, and that's a service that when you get a relationship with a service center like ours, they can tell you some of those things for the vehicle they might be working on. They can find out things which are extremely valuable. Like they just bought this 6 months ago, and then they find out there was a timing belt put in at a name brand shop a year ago, and it was only 10,000 miles ago. Guess what? You don't have to put a timing belt in. Yay, big win. Whatever, not in this vehicle. I'm just using that as an example. So you can find out some of that maintenance history. I'm going down that road just a bit, so you can find out, okay, is there information available to show me how it's been maintained up till now?
Right.
And so I could follow that pattern, because 160 and doing well, and if you open up the valve cover and pull the oil or the valve filler, the oil fill area, look at it, everything looks, you can learn some things quick about continuing that. The range on the oil change on those trucks that comes up by the oil light is a bit long, quite a bit long, I feel. And so, Russ, I guess I'll let you take over on what you've been doing with people on the oils and the changes on those direct injected 5.3s.
Getting at that age, I would switch over to a high mileage oil, the one that's listed as high mileage formula. If you're using like a mobile one, if you want a full synthetic, they have one that's high mileage formula. They have one that's standard. I'd go with the high mileage formula just because of the age. It'll help protect some of the seals and things like that in the engine as you go and protect the engine. Interval, yeah, I'd drop that down a little bit. I'd probably be, no more than 4,000 miles, 4 months on that engine. A lot of it's because of age and it's already accumulating some buildup inside of it, I'm sure, and that'll help keep that cleaned out, keep it in good shape. They're a pretty strong vehicle, though. If they've made it this many miles, they'll usually go further.
Yeah, my dad bought a 2014 to just use as a go-around truck, and it had 170,000 miles or 180,000 miles when he bought that one. And I think it had a transmission in its life, but the engine is all original and sounds very good. It was a nice, clean truck. And so we've seen a number of them well over 200,000 miles that we've brought in and dismantled, and they still sound and work pretty good. But we've also had them at Russ's shop with 110,000 miles.
Engine time.
That need an engine because somebody didn't maintain them very well.
Does that help you out at all, Bob?
Yeah, it does a bit. I do have one more other question. You have a repair shop up here. We're talking about older equipment. I also have a 2004 Saab 9.3. I'm having trouble finding anybody that can work on it. The one shop that did, his Tech 2, the last time he had it updated, they removed all of his Saab information from it. Do you guys have a Tech 2, and are you capable of checking codes and anything on Saab cars?
We've got lots of scanners that will scan that car, but they did. Yeah, I was just looking through all the makes, and they pulled out Saab and some of the other stuff. I was like, where did it go? But yeah, for that purpose, the Tech 2, the updates for that have been gone for a while. So we haven't updated ours in about 5 years. Don't need to. We use an online system for the GM stuff. But yeah, they did. It was like 5 years ago or 6 years ago they removed some of that stuff. So it may not be in there, but we got other scanners that do that.
Bob, thanks very much for the call. Good luck. 866-594-4150. Let's talk to Pete. You're on the Under the Hood Show. Pete, what can we do for you?
Well, I've got a general question. I'm getting older, and it seems like I cannot hear my turn signal, the blinker signal, the click. And my question is there anyone out there that makes a blinker that makes a louder noise? Now, I can hear it when I hit the four-way flashers. I can hear it click, and it seems like it's a little bit louder. But generally going down the road, I'm one of those guys that look down every now and then and see the blinker is still on and think, oh my gosh, I'm getting old.
I'm that guy. I just became that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, making a left turn around the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you called in, because people that haven't gotten to that point yet, my hearing's starting to get a little less impressive than it was not that long ago.
What?
But that is a thing, because some of these cars have a pretty subtle tone that's electronically generated, and it comes through radio speakers and different things.
Go buy an Envoy that hasn't been upgraded yet, that had the one that was screaming
I forgot
loud.
about that.
Remember, they actually turned it down because it was super loud, but they don't. That's not common now, and there's no way to fix it if you've got a car that's got a speaker-generated one. But I think his is generated through the hazard light switch in the center of the dash. That's why he's hearing it more when it's on the four-way, but it's right there like the Volkswagen, the click, click, and it's a relay in there. There is no way to make that louder because they don't have the cylindrical plug-in flasher like they used to, that you could buy louder flashers, like the UPS truck. That's the one that I already click, click, click. That thing is so loud.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a big contact, and they had flashers that were noisier. We talked about J.C. Whitney last week. That's been gone for who knows how long, forever, I think. But they used to sell noisy flashers, so you could, for this very thing, so you could hear it. As far as I know, they don't offer any kind of convenience upgrades, but they should.
Should that be $1 million idea, that we come up with a like the big telephone button? We come up with a loud flasher.
Right.
I think the factory should start putting in, like on your
programmable
phone, notifications, media, be able to change the volumes.
Right.
And there probably are a few. Maybe
There are
BMW.
vehicles already that have the ability to change the chime volumes right in the information center.
And I know that was the reason they a million reasons, but I know one of the things they said was when they were switching it over to an electronic noise, they got rid of the noisy flashers because they would be able to control it with the speaker, because you couldn't hear it over music or the radio. So they were able to work that in, but then if you can't change it from that, you're stuck.
Yeah, you've got
Well, I read that.
Go ahead.
Actually, you know what, Pete?
We're
Thanks.
out of time.
You can hold on, Pete. Let's keep
Stay
you right there for a second. That'll do it for this hour of the Under the Hood Show. Until next time, you can find us at underthehoodshow.com. And if you go to our Facebook page, Shannon got the thing for next week up there. So go check it out. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Under the Hood Show. For Russ Evans, Shannon Nordstrom, I'm Chris Carter. Thanks for listening. All right. Welcome to the after show. And Pete, you're still on the line. Go ahead. Say exactly where you stopped there.
Oh, I'm at Beaver Creek. I stopped at Beaver Creek. I went online and asked the question, can you get a louder flasher? And it said in there that some cars, if you use the flasher and go right for 2 or 3 clicks and then go left for a click, then you can change the different tones. Of course, that doesn't work on my Subaru, but I'm just wondering, is that a common knowledge thing?
I think we all just looked at each other a little funny when you said that.
But there are stuff. There are so many little tricks. Like, for example, I have an iPhone. And there are literally, I think, 3,000 things you can do. And most people only knew of maybe 20 or 30. And these are tricks that you can do with your phone to get it to do certain things. Like you can set up a thing in there where if you shake it 4 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, like the camera will come on and different things like that. I don't know if that's one of them, but they have those things. So in cars, there are things where you can, roll down the driver's side.
Power windows would be a common example.
And then hold the up button and the lock at the same time, and it will change your car so when you put it in reverse, it locks the doors instead of when it goes into drive or whatever. They have all these different things. And, yeah, they're kind of neat. And I think sometimes the engineers hide a few of these things in vehicles.
They said, you can't do that. Oh, yeah, watch me.
And then somebody along the way is, like, turning right, and all of a sudden they go, oh, I meant to go left. And they flip it the other way, and they go, hey, what just happened here? And then they go looking, and they find out, okay, 3 clicks to the right, flip it to the left real quick for 2, and then back to the right for 2, and now it's going ding, ding, instead of click, 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 all sorts of weird stuff. So
yeah.
I'm going to Google that because that's a cool one to.
Yeah, I want to find out which vehicle has a feature like that.
I mean, I can't tell you how many Honda CRVs came into our shop until I realized that they had a picnic table built into the spare tire cover. And then I went, hey, and now I'm looking at all of them. Go, look, here's a picnic table. Who knew?
iPhone hacks. I'm watching somebody one day use their phone. We're trying to do something together, and they take their finger and they start moving the cursor all over the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know.
Yeah, for like email and stuff.
Yeah, and anything. You can just push down and hold it and use it like a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
And move it. It was a life-changing event to be able to do that.
I agree. When did you learn that?
About 2 years ago.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I might have showed one of you two that.
I think you showed both of us because you were like, this is cool.
Yeah,
like,
I was cool. I was showing everybody, like, you can't go without this.
No.
It's just like on our computer system here at work. Benji, one day, I was sending out messages, and I sent out a lot of messages because I'm trying to play in so many spaces at once. And he goes, I can't read it when you do that screen capture thing that you do. He goes, why don't you use the snipping tool? I'm like, what's the snipping tool? And so he showed me and loaded the snipping tool on my computer, and now I can't stop snipping. It's the coolest thing. You have a snipping tool on yours?
Snipping tool, and then the one with the character thing where you can hit control and hit the button and the characters come up so you can put in like registered trademark symbols.
Oh, that wasn't too long ago. I forgot. Here we are, these 50-somethings.
There are thousands of things like that. I've got a big workbook like this at home on Excel and Outlook. There's stuff with Outlook. Wow, but cars, there's a lot of little nifty tricks that you can use with cars that do these things. So I'm going to Google the one.
I am,
with the turn
and
signal.
on your blinker, there's getting to be more and more vehicles too. That when you leave that blinker on, it sends out after a certain period of time, it sends out a louder chime than normal, and something displays on the dashboard to say turn signal on. They're going all the way on these newer vehicles to make sure that Pete doesn't ruin everybody's life.
But they still can't get the lights to come on when it's dark.
Yeah.
Does that help you out there at all, Pete?
Well, it does, and I guess I'm gonna keep listening to see if you find anything.
All right.
If something comes up, and so.
Well, I would think that
thanks for your time.
Yeah, and if you get into a Subaru heavy forum, if somebody helps you or you do it yourself, if it's doable, somebody there will know. That's a very loyal, dedicated cult following when you get deep into the Subaru crowd.
Pete, thanks very much for the call. All right, we got a follow-up here on the after show. Not even a show. The
Well,
after
you
show.
know what? I had a hunch Ryan was calling back. Did you hear me
Okay.
ask earlier when we
Yep.
had the coolant thing up? Is that Ryan? Because we did kind of cut him off.
On the Charger.
Yeah, we cut Ryan off, I think, before he got his second question out.
Was that true? Did we cut you off before you got your second question out?
You guys did, but it's okay.
All right, go ahead.
So my follow-up question is, okay, because obviously when you change the cam out, you're gonna need to retune. What do you guys recommend for tuners? You know, I had an original like the Series 1 Diablo, but I've heard good and bad about that. What do you guys recommend as far as digital tuners?
I would, Russ was getting ready to jump in here too, but I would recommend that you, if you're going to go and do this, that you do some research, figure out what package you're looking at with cam and maybe some exhaust or maybe whatever, and then you're going to take it to a shop that has a dyno and a tuner. So that they can custom tune that vehicle to match what you did, so you get the most out of what you put in there. And a custom tuner.
I'm just gonna do intake and cam.
Yeah, because a custom tuner that you would buy is going to most likely have some presets for one for fuel economy, one for performance, maybe towing if it's a truck. Fuel econ. There's different ranges they do in there, and if you really get deep in the weeds, you can play with some of the parameters. But I don't think that at your skill level or mine that you're going to be able to properly tune that.
How dare you?
I wasn't looking at you.
No, him.
I'm just saying the truth. But to be able to match
I wouldn't be comfortable either to do that. I wouldn't want to get in there and mess with something
but
that
the
I don't
full
know,
optimization of that cam and the lifters and what you put in there and even what fuel you're going to run, they look at all that stuff and they can get a tune put into that car that can be proper and fun.
Make it worth the effort you're putting in.
Yeah, like locally here we have Excessive Auto Sports does that.
There's a new guy.
The guy up in Watertown.
Andy Wicks at Dyno Tune USA.
There's people we know that regulars go to around here, and that's what they do, is that they do that special tuning.
And something that both of those guys have in common, both Andy Wicks at Dyno Tune USA and Joey at Excessive Auto Sports, what do they do when they want to get a crap ton of power out of their car and make them go really fast? They put ethanol in them and they tune them for E85.
Yep.
That's what they do.
Or higher.
Their fastest cars run on that. So in your face with that, if you're a mechanic thinking, no, that stuff's junk, I can't get my car to go anywhere. That's what they do. So, yeah, but these custom tuners, Shannon's hit it right on there, man. Those to get your car, I think if you had a choice between something you just plug in, even if it's from the cam company that says, yeah, with this cam you want to plug in this tune, you're going to gain at least another 5 to 10%.
If you spend a similar amount of money having a custom tuner, I don't know what the charges are. You have to ask them.
They're similar to.
But if you spent $500 on a tuner and you spent $500 at a custom tuner for a one-time tune, I'd go with the one-time tune.
Yep.
Does that help you out there, Ryan?
I agree. Yeah, one more question for you guys too about one of your guys' partners there. So the carrier bearing on that's a problem on those Chargers.
Yeah.
That carrier bearing will wear out. I forget the name of it. Who the aftermarket guys you do that? You just talked about it on one of your last podcasts where they'll design stuff like common. Yep, Norman. Where they'll do they'll update common wear parts. Is that something that they would have in?
Yeah.
Dorman has an extensive line of drive shafts.
OE Fix stuff.
OE Fix with the integrated carrier bearings.
Yeah, they're really good at making a better thing, and then they show you. You could see what it is. Like we were talking about exhaust manifolds with them on a little interview spot we did with them a few weeks ago, and to see that they took this Trailblazer manifold that had a common problem. They all break at half in the middle, and I was looking at one of their manifolds close the other day, and now they cut it right at the split in the middle, and then it's way thicker than the factory one on each side. And I'm like, why would they cut that? And now I know why they did
we
that.
learned.
And then they don't break. And then with these hanger bearings they put in these cars, they go, hey, why does this wear out? Well, the way it's sitting in there, we need to upgrade this. So now they don't wear out as fast. So they got Dorman Products has got some really cool stuff.
There you go, Ryan. Thanks very much for the call. Glad you were able to stick around for the after show. All right. And wait, what was that?
Hey, so you guys, one more question. So you guys always do the colors. I got an '89 Chevy Caprice. What color is it?
Oh, it's a blue with that lighter blue with a silver tint. I think. I don't know what do you call it. Just a real.
I think it's gold.
It's maroon.
Two-tone blue, dark blue and light blue. You hit it.
There you go.
There you go. You were right
All right,
on that
thanks a
one.
lot, guys.
Thanks, man. Thanks for the call. We had last
I
week.
like that he wanted us to guess his color. We're getting somewhere with this.
We had last week 2 weeks ago while you were gone. We had a few, and we discussed whether you would want the color of that car or not. Even we had to say, would this be one that Shannon asked for? So
The one that got away, the GNX call. I'm just bummed.
there's a Lath on the chat here says, careful with the GNX color. All Cyclones were black, except they weren't. There was a special edition Marlboro version.
Oh, I think there was a green one too.
Man, totally forgot about that.
Totally forgot about that.
I think, is it Omaze that does the big giveaways?
Yeah.
They have a GNX giveaway right now.
Oh, have you?
Well, you gotta. Well, okay. It's the
Gotta
after show,
accept the
right?
spam, right?
The after show.
It's the after show. There is a way to sign up without giving money. Most of those big drawings, there is a way to sign up
Sure.
without giving money.
Has anybody actually won something?
Oh,
when they
Amaze gives
sign
away
up
stuff all the
without
time.
without,
has anybody ever won
that's-
without signing up?
That's how I was going to finish this, Russ. There is no chance in HE double hockey sticks that I'm winning that car as a non-donating person.
to
Is there?
whatever the cause is.
Oh, is there? Is there a chance?
But we're guys that are in radio and working at the bars and all that thing where, over the years, we've seen how giveaways work. And if it's like, hey, everybody does this, but you can register without doing any of that and don't take any of our advertisements. Other than here at the end of the Hood Show, where if we pull a name out, we literally pull the name out and it's what it is. But we don't say you have to make a donation or anything. We just say, tell us you want to win and we give it.
Wait a second.
Chris,
Wait,
I'm waiting to see what you're going
Are
to
you
say.
following me there,
Yeah,
Chris?
totally. I gotta stop you. So, here's what Russ just said.
Every
They're
drawing's
all rigged except
Every
for us.
drawing's rigged,
Except ours.
and we know this because we work in industries where every drawing's rigged, except ours. One of those things, those can't
They
match
both
up.
can't be true.
All right. So
you're good. I don't think we need to
I've been an employee at a bar where they used to give away here's a $50 drink thing or something, and I'd watch the owner or one of the managers pull a ticket out for them to win and go, off. I don't like this person. Oh, that one's not any good. And then they just reach in and
You've
pull
watched the
something
drawings at the Nordstrom's employee meetings. We do that right in front of everybody.
out. You just reach in the bucket.
Yeah.
Usually I or somebody else. He just holds the bucket up and somebody reaches in and pulls a name out.
Hey,
and
I
there's
won.
a
I
name.
won something recently.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
at,
did.
at a drawing here. Were you
It was
drawing
a
it?
drawing at a benefit, a
Okay.
fundraising benefit. I won a Ruger Max 9 handgun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Who are you going to give it to?
it's mine. I'm keeping it.
Okay.
I got another one too.
Don't bring it to work
I
because
got a
they're
couple of them.
not allowed.
I got a couple of them.
I just got a new
I'm
rifle.
a kind of a quiet.
I got a new
under
rifle
the cover.
case with a handgun case built in. So if you need me to hold on to that,
No, I
got a spot for it.
my wife
Right there. Mm-hmm.
it's one that she wants to try to fire because
Okay.
it's a nice size. It's more of a compact.
Let's go next week after the show.
Let's go right now.
I forgot.
I gotta. Oh no, I don't have any with me. I'm at work.
All right, that'll do it for the after show. Thanks, everybody. We are glad you listened and glad you watched. Thanks a lot.
I wonder what's going to trigger somebody on this after show. There's a few things said in this
Something's gonna
last
be for
10 minutes
sure.
that
Yeah.
it's going to trigger somebody. Just be triggered. It's okay, but sorry, it's just me.
We've either endeared ourselves or lost some. It's fine. Either way, it's fine. Thanks, everybody.